My name is...
Hello and welcome to the Arrow Fans UK episode review podcast. As you can probably guess from the edited opening sequence, this one will be about episode 8, The Scientist. I'm Bradley and I'm joined today by a guest on the podcast. She is the creator of @FlashCW and she is B. Hello B.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. It's nice to have you on the podcast.
Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
It's alright. We're without Corey today. He is stuck doing some university work and overslept his alarm apparently as well. But he should be back next week. We can talk about the mid-season finale, which should be a lot of fun. So we're going to talk in detail about The Scientist. Where do you think we should start? Barry Allen?
Yep, I think that's a good place to start.
Maybe Malcolm Merlyn? Brother Blood? Roy? The Island?
There's a lot going on in this episode for us to talk about.
I hope you all listening have a lot of time to spare, because we could be here a while.
We could, yeah.
Okay, so we'll start with Barry Allen.
Yep.
Obviously, Grant Gustin was cast as him and he's appearing in this episode. And he's obviously going to become the Flash at some point and get his own TV show.
Yes, he is.
Quite an interesting concept.
Yep.
So, just start off with, what did you think of him? Not the whole episode, just him in this episode.
He was the perfect Barry Allen, basically, is all I can say. He took the character, he made it his own, but he didn't stray too far from the comic book character. He was just perfect.
I must say, when I saw that Grant Gustin got cast, I sort of looked him up and he was in Glee, and I thought, I'm not a big fan of Glee, I don't really see the interest in it, and made me kind of think, is he going to be that good a Flash?
This is the thing, everyone did that, but Grant has been in a lot more than just Glee. He is more than just that one character. He's a very accomplished actor.
And it showed, because I was really impressed by the way he was in this episode. The first thing I noticed about him, when he first turned up at Queen Consolidated,
Yep.
He struck me as a male Felicity, when we first met Felicity.
Yes, that is basically it, yeah.
He was very much sort of trying to make a point but rambling about it.
Yeah.
And then Oliver and Lance got really confused as to who he was. And that was
Yeah.
sort of him and Felicity kind of having that thing throughout the episode and presumably next week. That sort of made a lot more sense when you saw how Barry was portrayed.
Yeah, I mean, they're both very kind of socially awkward in that they're both extremely smart and don't know really how to tone it down without being too patronising. But they've got each other and they understand each other, so they can just talk and talk and talk.
I think that kind of connection of Barry's the same as Felicity is what made Oliver a bit jealous.
Exactly, yeah. Because he knows that he can't really compete with Barry on an intellectual level, because Barry knows more than Oliver does.
Which was, well, except for the serum bit, but we'll come to that later. But yeah, I liked him. I was worried, I'd say, but I think he set it up well. It wasn't, there were chances where you thought he could end up being a very unlikable character. He could get on Oliver's bad books or whatever, or anyone's, and he managed to stray away from that, I think.
He did, yeah.
My thing about it was, though, as much as I did like him, and I'm happy that he's in it and next week and Flash TV show and everything like that, I think he was overused.
There was a lot of him in this episode, yeah.
I know obviously this is the whole introducing him, and I understand that they've got to have him in a lot, set the back, obviously most people know the backstory, but kind of set him up into the Arrow world.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of him used. He was in a lot of the present day scenes.
Yep.
And even with all this other stuff going on, which was Malcolm Merlyn, Brother Blood, the Roy storyline, all of that in the present day, and he still managed to get into most of the episode.
Well, we were told before the episode even aired that he was the main focus of the episode, that most of it would be about him. I think there was a lot going on in the episode that didn't make it feel like he'd overtaken it. Like you say, you had Malcolm Merlin, you had Brother Blood, you had the fights with Cyrus Gold. It was all there, and then there was Barry in between it all. I think they've given enough to everything else to make it not seem like it was the Barry Allen show.
Hmm. I mean, this is Arrow. There are 10,000 different other storylines going on
Exactly.
at the same time.
Exactly.
It's one of the great things about the show.
Yeah.
But what it was about Barry, that because he was a good influence on the episode, it
Yeah.
made it seem like he was in it more.
Yeah.
And that,
I liked that he was a part of things even when he wasn't on screen. He was still talked about, and
mm,
he's kind of the glue of the main storyline of it.
I think, yeah, that was what they were aiming for, because
Yeah.
obviously you need to introduce him into the Arrow world.
Yeah.
But yeah, I liked him. I was impressed.
Good.
Um, talk about him and Felicity. I know we've talked a little
Okay.
bit about it, but could that go somewhere?
Personally, I don't think so. I'm not into shipping. I don't see them in a relationship. I see them as friends. I see them as colleagues. I don't see anything more in it.
Hmm. Well, you never know. They, as Diggle pointed out that seemed like Barry's intentions were pretty clear,
Yeah, Barry liked her, she liked him, but he's in one city, she's in another.
and he's soon going to become a superhero with powers.
Exactly. Yes.
So, I mean, she already works with one superhero. Well, I say superhero, no
Yeah.
powers, but you get the idea.
Yes.
Throw another one in there. Could be a bit tricky.
Yeah, don't confuse the poor girl.
Yeah, I mean, but to be fair though, that is a potential thing that obviously I know that he's only going to be here in this one and next week.
Yeah.
But he found out Oliver's identity,
Yep.
which comes back to my recurrent theme of too many people know that, but it's not really a secret anymore. It's more like, okay, the list is shorter if we list who doesn't know about it.
Yeah.
I think when we, I think it was after Keep Your Enemies Closer, when we found out that Amanda Waller knew,
Yeah.
I think me and Corey made a list and we came up to about 12 people that already know.
A lot of people to know a secret identity.
And we're 31 episodes in.
Yeah.
It's, getting a little bit out of hand. And when you think you've got Roy as well still to come to learn it, and potentially Slade or Shadow if they're still alive, which I will come to later because I have a theory about
Yep.
that. So it was almost inevitable, really, though, that he'd find out his identity, wasn't it?
Yes. I mean, at the end of the day, he's just a bloke with a hood up and some eyeliner. It's not that difficult.
No, I'm surprised actually that no one else has found out. It's like when Lance was working with him in Broken Dolls.
Yeah.
It's just like there's a hood and a little bit of little bit of face paint in the middle.
Yeah. And how does Laurel not know?
Oh, I honestly.
She went out with the bloke. You know.
Yeah.
She's been close enough to his face that she probably knows every single pore of it. How could she not know?
Well, I don't know. It's a good thing that they don't know, because be more people knowing, and it's slightly a bit awkward, because
Yeah.
by that point you have most of the main characters knowing.
Yeah. Takes away from it a little bit.
I think that's kind of the whole mystery of the show, that people shouldn't know Oliver's identity,
Yeah.
and yet more and more people are.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think the way he found out, obviously we're going back to the Odyssey kind of territory last
Yeah.
year. Obviously Barry's probably going to help Felicity save Oliver.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Otherwise, we've got a long season with no Oliver.
Yeah, have to promote Diggle.
Yes.
But how how do we think he's going to react to knowing that Oliver's the Hood? Because obviously one of the things that Barry was going on about throughout the episode was he wants to meet the vigilante because
Yep.
he wants him to track down the person who killed his mother.
Yep.
Which actually, when you think about it, came in a blur. Person in a blur.
Yep.
Not that I know very much about the Flash, but that was the first thing I thought of.
Yep. Well, if they're sticking to the comic books and sticking to the new 52 storyline that they've taken this version of Barry from, then it will all become very clear in the Flash show.
Hmm.
Because there's a lot to do with the Speed Force.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're sticking with that, then people that have read it know who killed her. And I'm not going to discuss that because I'm not really into spoilers.
Yeah, neither am I.
No.
um, but yeah, so going back to this point of Barry meeting Oliver,
Yes.
how's he going to react to that?
At first, well, we've seen his initial reaction to it. He's stunned. He's going to let that sink in for a moment. He'll do what he's got to do, save the man's life. Then he'll freak out a little.
So very much similar to Felicity last year.
Yeah. He is essentially the male version of her. It's going to be the same kind of reaction.
Yeah, that could be interesting.
Yeah, to see a male point of view, finding out that this person that he's been desperately wanting to meet, and he's actually met him. It's like meeting one of your idols for the first time.
I mean, what if we had male wives finding out? Deagle, who, after Oliver saved his life, then tried to kill him.
Yeah.
Or hit him, or whatever. Tommy, who then said he hated him and that he was a murderer.
Yeah. It's not going to be like that with Barry.
No. So yeah, I'm really interested to see what happens next week, because obviously mid-season finale there's going to be a hell of a lot.
A lot's going to happen next week, yeah.
Yeah, I've been got sources that have seen next week's episode already, and they've said that it's unbelievable. Could be a season finale.
You can see that even from the preview trailer for it.
That was pretty intense.
It was.
But obviously we'll talk about that next week when we've seen it.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm overall view on Barry Allen positive.
Yes. Good.
So we've talked about Barry Allen. Now we're going to talk about the island.
Yep.
So obviously on the island we saw a lot more into the serum.
Yes.
Slade got injected, and it looked like he died.
It did, yes.
What do you think? Do you think he's dead?
No, I don't.
No. I am 100% sure that he's not.
No, he's not dead.
I'll tell you why. You remember back in episode 4, when Sarah walked into the club?
Yep.
And was asked Oliver what happened to Slade?
Yep.
Yeah. Sarah was standing there when Oliver injected him.
Yes.
If he had died then, Sarah would have known what happened.
Exactly.
And to steal one of the count lines, ipso facto, Slade is alive.
Exactly.
And obviously he's got the whole Deathstroke thing.
Exactly.
So, I mean, from the trailer and the promo for next week, he's in the present day, but is that going to be as a kind of hallucination, or is he actually going to be in it?
Well, next week's episode is the Three Ghosts episode, so the trailer kind of makes it seem like things that are real aren't, and things that aren't real are. Which kind of a lot of misdirects to try and throw the viewer off, but I don't think everything is as it seems.
No, never is with this show.
No.
So yeah, obviously the title Three Ghosts makes it a little bit of a hint, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's very Scrooge and the ghosts of past, present, and future.
That is very much what I first thought.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot more Slade storyline to tell.
Yeah.
So obviously
but in with the serum, this is likely to be where he goes from Slade Wilson
To Deathstroke.
Yes. We've seen what the serum can do.
Mm. I was shocked by the how much strength the serum gives. When I first heard about the serum back in whenever it was, and he injected him, and we learned last week, or the week before, when we last saw the
Yeah.
episode, that Cyrus had been a successful test.
Yeah.
I thought, oh, it's going to improve his strength, but not all that much. And then you had the opening scene, and the bit where Oliver's trying to take him out on the truck,
Yeah.
and I'm sitting there thinking, this is super strong serum.
Yeah, it is.
He's like Malcolm Merlin times 10.
Yeah.
But I was really shocked at how strong it made him.
I mean, it's different for different people because people who know who Cyrus Gold is would have kind of expected it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, if it is different for different people, I'd like to see how Slade reacts to it.
Yeah.
Because obviously, Sarah was saying about how if it's not with the sedative, he would die.
Yeah.
Presumably, it's without the sedative, and he's not
Yeah.
going to die, as we've already established. But my theory about that is, would the sedative make people... You'd still have the strength, but you wouldn't be able to use it as much.
Yes, I found it a bit weird that there would have to be a sedative, unless that's just to calm the person's body down while the serum's being injected and taking hold and working its magic.
I mean,
Why would you inject someone with super strength but then sedate the super strength?
that was what I found weird. I mean, if you can have it without the sedative, and we've seen Cyrus with the sedative and how strong he is, how strong can you be without the sedative?
This is it.
And that would just be unreal, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it's not something to be messed with at all.
No. So yeah, this is definitely where Slade comes into becoming Deathstroke.
Yeah.
And like I say, it'd be interesting to see if and when he comes into the present day. Because obviously, Deathstroke is a formidable villain, as far as I know.
He is, yes.
So, we've had the Dark Archer, we've had Malcolm Merlin, we've got Brother Blood at the moment.
Yep.
So, another
in the present day. Could be interesting. And you could...
Ollie's going to have his work cut out for him.
Yeah, he's in real trouble.
He is, yeah.
And you can kind of imagine, or think you can kind of predict, where it's going to come in that Slade's gone from trusting Oliver and liking Oliver to the other side. And that is, presumably, with Shadow.
Yes.
I think as soon as Shadow got introduced and Slade and Oliver saved them back in episode 18 last season, I think it was.
Yep.
I think a lot of people predicted a love triangle. And we saw it a few episodes ago that we saw that it would potentially go there, and now Oliver knows.
Yeah.
So,
And there's a lot for Slade to be mad at Oliver for, shall we say?
well, yeah, it was technically Oliver's fault that he's now in this mess.
Yeah.
Oliver did cost him a plane out of the island.
Yep.
Back in the Odyssey last year.
Yep.
So, and now Oliver has injected him with a super strength serum that could potentially kill him.
Yep.
And presumably, if Ivo and that lot think that he's dead, as as Shadow and Oliver do at the moment, presumably they'd leave him on the sub.
Exactly.
So
yeah, a lot to be mad at Oliver for.
Oliver does have a way with irritating people, doesn't he?
Yes, he's not really someone you want to mess with.
No.
You don't want to get involved with him because he's going to make you very angry.
Yeah. I know. I'm interested. I like the Island storyline this year. Last year it was not that much connected to the present day. I didn't think.
No, it didn't grab my attention as much last year as it has this year.
I liked it last year. I was really interested in it last year, and when they kept on last couple of episodes of the season, when they had kind of set something up and then just left it on edge for 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah,
That was annoying me. But this year they've kind of made it so that what happened on the island is now happening in the present day, and it's all connected. Whereas last year you had Malcolm Merlyn trying to destroy the city,
yeah.
and on the island you had I've forgotten his name now. That's gonna bug me. I can't believe that. You had fires. That's it.
Yep.
Unbelievable. You had fires trying to destroy a commercial jet, destabilize China's economy.
Yep.
So it was very different. You were watching two different storylines at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see why people may have found it hard to concentrate on two different storylines, because I did at times. I've had to re-watch episodes a couple of times so that I've got everything in place and I know what's going on.
I should do that because they're so good.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you say, it's much easier to follow this year because you've got two storylines.
Yep.
Albeit the Brother Blood one's only been kind of minor for the last few episodes, and it's only just come into
Yep.
play this week.
Yep.
But it's still been going on in both times.
Yep. And it's gonna come even more prominent.
I mean, what could have potentially happened was that it happened next year on the island. So I think if we're staying at 5 years ago, we're currently in about 2008.
Yeah.
Obviously got wrecked in 2007. So potentially it would happen in 2009, and we would
Yeah.
see this bit of the story in the island next season.
Yep.
But we're seeing it now in the present day, and that would have just been
Yeah.
weird. So obviously they've set it up so that they can do that together.
Yeah.
And I like how they've done that.
Yeah.
But I'm not really sure there's much else to talk about for the island, really.
No, I think we've covered it all there.
It seemed like there was a lot, and then there's not actually that much. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so I think we'll next move on to the villains in the present day, so to speak.
Yep.
We'll start off with Malcolm Merlyn.
Okay.
Obviously we saw he was still alive a couple of weeks
Yep.
ago. We last
Yep.
had Arrow. And we've had a lot more, well, not a lot more, but more into he is now trying to control himself over Moira again.
He is, yeah.
And I liked how Moira managed to end up threatening him.
Yeah. She got some background on him and she knows how to stop him from getting what he wants.
I think just the whole threat alone of Ra's al Ghul
Yeah.
could mean we might be without Malcolm for a little while he tries to figure out what to do.
Yeah, it was very much like kids saying, I'm going to tell your mum on you. He's gone running away now.
Yeah, I don't think it was quite that. I think it was much but worse than that.
Well, yeah. Depends how strict the parents are, really.
Yeah. Just like, yeah, I'm going to tell your mum on you. Your mum's going to kill you.
Yes.
And you ain't coming back this time.
No.
So, obviously, we've got... I'm just going to connect Ra's al Ghul into it. We've got Talia al Ghul coming in.
Yep.
No, sorry, not Talia. Talia was the one I suggested. Nyssa al Ghul coming in episode 13.
Yep.
So, presumably we'll have Malcolm Merlyn in that as well.
You would think so, yes.
And obviously it'd be interesting to see how he survived,
Yep.
and then how all those at the League of Assassins react to him being alive.
Yeah.
So I'm not quite sure whether Aloal knew he was alive back in episode 5. I think you need to find out more about that when he
It would
survived.
be nice to have some kind, maybe even just like a little flashback to how he survived and how the League all found out that he's still alive. I think we need some kind of background on that.
I think what me and Corey suggested last time out was that he managed to find a Lazarus pit. That Talia al Ghul seems to own one.
Yeah.
So maybe he found out help that way, and
Maybe.
then, but because Moira told Ra's al Ghul about Malcolm, but I can't remember if she told him that he was alive or that he was in Starling City still.
No.
Because if if she told him that he was alive, then we obviously know that the League of Assassins didn't know. But if she just told him that he was in Starling City, then the League of Assassins did know before Moira talked to them.
Yeah.
So we need to find out how they knew.
Yes, we do.
I think that's the point. I think what's most likely is that we're going to be hanging on edge until episode 13, and then everything's going to be released then.
Yes. There's going to be some build up, and then we're going to get it.
Yeah, that's the trademark of Arrow, I think.
Yeah.
With Moira's trial, we've been going on for 6 episodes of this season of what is the big secret, and then it's all come out in the trial.
Yeah.
It wasn't actually that big, but, you know.
No.
Another matter. So yeah, what do you think the chances are of Malcolm becoming the main villain again this season?
I don't know. There's a lot of other things going on at the moment. I think it would have to take a lot for him to take more focus away from Brother Blood at the moment.
I mean, potentially, if Brother Blood finds out that Malcolm's alive, could there be a partnership there?
I think there could be, with Brother Blood having more of a control over it, more than a partnership.
That'd be weird, wouldn't it? See Malcolm Merlin being controlled.
It would, but it'd be very good and interesting dynamic to see. To see how someone has control over Malcolm Merlin.
Other than Ra's al Ghul, you mean?
Yes.
I think Malcolm would actually be open to that, because if only Moira knows that he's alive, and then Brother Blood, and only a couple of people know he's alive, keeping the focus away from himself, sort of, it would make their partnership better.
Yeah.
If it's all kind of lead out Malcolm Merlin's alive, then sort of doesn't have that good effect.
No.
It seems it just goes back to the whole Malcolm Merlin's in control now.
Yeah.
Whereas if no one knows Malcolm's alive, Brother Blood is in control.
Yep.
And therefore it's a different storyline with the serum and whatever else he has planned.
Yeah, if it's Malcolm Merlin in control again, we're in danger of it going back to last season and repeating what we've already seen. We need something different.
Maybe it'd be like we could end up with like Brother Blood trying to wreak havoc, and then Malcolm Merlin trying to wreak his own havoc.
Yeah.
And all of us got 2 different people to stop.
Yeah.
And then bring Deathstroke into it in the present day, and you got 3 people to stop.
Yeah, and then Ollie's in a lot of trouble.
Yeah. Might need Barry to help him out.
He might need a little helping hand, yeah.
But just on Brother Blood, obviously by episode his serum is getting progressively more useful.
Yeah.
Obviously stolen the blood and all this stuff that can help him develop it into something that is much better than what he already has.
Yeah.
Obviously what he already has is quite good.
Yes.
But he's kind of, I think the whole point is turning this into a weapon that nobody can stop.
Exactly, that. Yeah. He's tested it out with Cyrus. He's going to keep going until he's got the perfect machine, as it were.
Yeah. I mean, my thing about the serum is, I presume, I'm not certain, I assume it is the same one as on the island.
they made reference to, well, Oliver said he thought they were trying to replicate the serum.
Hmm.
So potentially they know of Deathstroke
Hmm.
and they want to make more.
I mean, obviously, we haven't talked about this bit yet, but we learn that Ivo is dead.
Yeah.
Which I was a bit shocked at, actually. Like,
You'd think the whole shock of it would be, when did Ivo die? Is he still alive in the present day?
Yeah.
But potentially he is, but that's
another matter. We'll come to that if it arises. But maybe Brother Blood and Ivo have a connection. They knew each other, or Ivo managed to somehow get the serum to Brother Blood before he got killed.
That's all to be seen. There's got to be some reason Brother Blood knows about this serum to begin with. Why not be a connection to Ivo?
No, I mean, potentially having the same serum in the present day and the flashbacks, but it's a different serum, but it has the same effect. That would just be weird.
Yeah.
I don't see that happening.
No, there's got to be more to it than we know so far.
I mean, obviously Oliver has seen this kind of thing before.
Yeah.
So potentially it is the same one. You would think.
Yeah.
But you never know.
You can never tell with this show.
No. But obviously, as I said, Brother Blood's trying to perfect it.
Yeah.
So, what we're probably going to see on the island is the kind of stages of it going from what the Japanese had back in World War II.
Yeah.
To kind of slowly progressing, Ivo trying to perfect it.
Yeah.
While in the present day, Blood has perfected it.
Yeah.
So yeah, Brother Blood is not a nice person.
Not at all, no.
No. I'm looking forward to Oliver finding out that Brother Blood exists, first of all.
Yes,
because he still doesn't.
That's gonna be good.
He still doesn't know.
No.
And I think from what I've heard, he finds out next week that Brother Blood exists, but not who he is.
It's gonna be an exciting episode next week.
We'll talk about that later on.
Yes.
But I'm looking forward to how Brother Blood ends up coming against Oliver.
Yes.
And potentially, one of my other kind of thoughts about it, what if Brother Blood ends up on the island? What if Sebastian Blood ends up on the island? And Oliver obviously doesn't see him, because he would know.
I've been thinking that as well.
But for partnership with Ivo-wise, Blood has gone to the island and found Ivo, or I say found Ivo, located Ivo on there, knowing that he's there trying to find the serum, and Ivo's provided him with it, and he spent the last 5 years trying to get that small sample that he had before Ivo got killed.
Yep.
Potentially, trying to perfect it into what he has now.
Yes.
So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see the history of...
Yes, that is going to be good.
Not so much the characters, but the serum, and then the characters because of it.
Yeah.
So, a lot of storyline still to come.
Yes. It's going to be an exciting second half of the season.
It is. So we're going to go on and talk about Roy, and potentially Sin as well, and that kind of storyline. Obviously, Roy has been asked by Sin to help try and find Max, who we learn eventually somehow has managed to end up taking this serum. He's ended up becoming one of Brother Blood's test subjects.
And didn't quite make it.
No, not quite like Cyrus did.
Not quite, no.
I think that's probably better than if Sin's friend had gone on a raging kind of crusade to kill people and steal stuff.
I think it was important for them to show that the serum doesn't always take, and sometimes it does just kill people. Not everyone is built to take this serum. It's got to be a specific type of person.
I mean, from what we've seen so far, it's only been one person that's taken it, and survived, which is Cyrus. But I think connecting it to Roy and Sin that way, getting them involved, because Oliver wanted to take this on his own,
Yeah.
hence shooting Roy in the leg with an arrow.
Yeah.
But the point was you needed to get Roy and Sin people aware of this kind of
Yeah.
idea that something else is going on here, because the police thought he overdosed,
Yeah.
and that was presumably down to that police officer that's working with Brother Blood at the scene.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you had to bring Roy into that to get him aware of it, because obviously Oliver wasn't going to tell him,
No.
because he knows how dangerous it is. And
Yeah.
Throughout the whole of end of last season, when we saw Roy, Oliver did not like him at all.
No, he didn't.
He's still looking to protect him now.
Yeah.
So it was good to see Roy kind of taking his own, I'm going to do this by myself, without Oliver's help, or the Arrow's help.
I think it would have been a little bit out of character for Roy to have not helped Sin.
Yeah.
Even after all the warnings from Oliver, it would have been out of character for him to not have done something.
Yeah, I mean, what shocked me was the fact that Thea was open to helping him. It wasn't kind of, yep, okay, fine, you want to help her, I agree with you helping you, but she actually decided that she would help as well.
Yeah.
And that seemed strange to me.
I think the dynamic of their relationship changed a little bit after last week when, with the boxing scene. I think something changed in her then.
Yeah, well, that was funny.
That was great, that.
I still laugh remembering it now.
But yeah, it was interesting to see how not only Roy but Thea as well as that has developed from back when we first met Roy, and Thea first kind of was with him.
Yeah.
As much as she doesn't really want him to go out on the streets fighting crime daily, helping a friend like that is obviously something she approves of.
Yeah. I think as a character, I think she's grown since she's been with Roy. She's seen into his life, and she knows that he's going to do these things, so it's better to support him than try and fight him on it.
Yeah,
And
at least like supporting him. Obviously, had the bit where he kind of got involved with the Arrow, but supporting him like that and kind of allowing him to do bits, kind of.
He doesn't have to go and be the new Arrow. He can just kind of help when he feels he needs to, but not go out of his way to kind of like go out on the street every night looking for crime to stop.
Yeah, it's different to what Oliver does. He goes out searching for bad guys. Roy just wants to help out Sin in this instant.
Yeah, and obviously helping out Oliver used to be help.
Yeah.
He used to help out
He took
Oliver.
the information to Oliver, so Oliver now knows that it's spreading.
Yeah, and obviously that's not a good thing.
No.
But yeah, the whole Roy dynamic is good because obviously he's going to become the Speedy.
Yes,
I think it's
he
called.
is.
You know, the Red Hood and whatever.
Yep.
But it was interesting to see how they've now fallen out, as anyone would if they had an arrow shot through their leg.
Well, yeah, no, that would annoy people.
It's not the kind of thing you forgive someone pretty quickly.
No, I wouldn't be forgiving someone if they shot an arrow through my leg.
No, definitely not.
But yeah, obviously that whole dynamic is now going to change.
Yeah.
Because it started off as Oliver was not happy that Roy was trying to help, trying to be his own vigilante, for whatever reason. So Oliver then ended up getting Roy to help him, and now Roy's going too far. He's straying too far into danger.
Yeah.
It was alright when you're taking down like whoever, I don't know, the doll maker or someone.
Yeah.
It's alright if you're taking down them, but this is dangerous, and Oliver's seen how dangerous it is.
Yeah. I mean, it's dangerous in terms of the serum is very dangerous. It's also dangerous. It's getting a little close to possibly finding out who the vigilante is.
Yeah, so he's distanced from Roy now because obviously he has shot Roy with the leg and trying to prevent him from investigating this any further. So,
Yeah.
where Roy was a useful associate to Oliver.
He now doesn't have that.
No, and that could end up hurting Oliver actually, because as much as what Roy did was he didn't do all that much, but what he did was important.
It was, yeah.
I think Oliver needed that kind of help, because obviously he's got and Felicity and whoever else doing it, and finding out information out through it, however, but he needed...
It's all very well and good having them in the Arrow Cave. He's got Roy out on the streets.
I think
he needs that.
Yeah, that was what the whole concept of bringing Roy into it was originally, wasn't it?
Exactly, yeah. And now he's kind of severed that. So now he's only got Felicity and Dig.
Yeah.
And potentially Barry.
Yeah. I mean, obviously it's not gonna affect Oliver too much, but it's gonna affect those little bits. It's gonna take him longer to find things.
Yeah.
You think. And he's not gonna get wind of any of these kind of things that are going on, like he's not gonna know that the serum is spreading. If this had been last week that Oliver had cut the ties with Roy.
Yeah, I mean this showed that it's regular people being taken off the streets now. It's not just really big built blokes. It's regular people.
Yeah, and that now that he's severed that dynamic, Oliver's not going to know about those kind of things.
No, he's not going to know how many people are going missing.
No, it's not going to be... Yeah, I'm kind of agreeing with you there. Yeah, you're going to get the whole... Oliver is now going to get less information that...
Yep.
Although it's small, and it
was vital.
Yeah, it's the thing that's going to help him, that's going to know how big a threat it is. It's not going to help him stop the threat.
No.
Although that might happen eventually.
You would hope.
But it's that kind of small things that's going to stop him from knowing how bad it is that he's dealing with.
Yeah.
And I think he needed that kind of idea of someone doing that for him, because obviously Felicity, as you said, and Diggle can't do that. And Lance is under the police, so how he's managed to get away with working with Oliver as an officer for so long is beyond me.
Yeah.
But having that kind of normal person out on the streets, whatever, really helped him.
Yeah, I don't think he realises how much it helps, and now that he's severed it, it's gonna hit him that he really needed Roy.
And I think the other thing about having Roy there is that obviously we've said that Roy will become Speedy at some point. We don't know when, but Roy was there as kind of the next vigilante.
Yeah.
And so Oliver, me and Corey had this idea that Oliver could kind of train him and kind of help him kind of become a vigilante.
Yeah.
But now obviously Roy's probably not going to want to do that.
No, not unless Oliver makes it up to him big time.
Could be tricky.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean obviously that's to come at some point. But
yes.
It'd be interesting actually to see, I haven't actually thought about this, but if Thea was to find out that Oliver was the Arrow,
yeah,
basically her brother's just shot her boyfriend with an arrow.
Yeah, that's going to raise quite a few problems.
Whereas like Tommy was kind of, oh, you're a murderer, I don't like you. Thea probably wouldn't focus on that and just think, you shot my boyfriend with an arrow.
Yeah.
It's probably not the best thing to do.
No, it's not very good for brother-sister relations.
No, it's not. But yeah, I think the whole Roy storyline is actually becoming quite interesting now. How they're relating it to what's going on in the present day and kind of everything that's going on.
Yes.
Okay. We're going to talk about Moira. Obviously, she's been out of prison.
Yep.
Last week. And Oliver's decided to bring her back to Queen Consolidated.
As any good son would, yes.
Yes, Isabel wasn't very happy with that, was she?
No, she wasn't. Isabel wants to be the woman in control there.
Hmm. I think one of the obviously you got that, but I think there was a lot of you could see that there would be history between the two of them.
Yeah.
Obviously Moira doesn't seem to like Isabel that much.
No, potentially there is more than we know with them two as well.
I think Moira kind of obviously she wouldn't be happy that Isabel's kind of taken over her company.
No.
And as we learned back in the opening episode of this season, she's renowned for destroying companies.
Yes.
So obviously Oliver's managed to just about keep it afloat.
Yeah.
But there is definitely some sort of history between the two of them. I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to finding that out because having that kind of extra storyline makes it a little bit more interesting. The Office storyline is pretty boring without it, really.
It is, yeah. There's got to be something there.
At the moment, the Office storyline is sort of Oliver and Isabel throwing insults at each other.
Yeah. I mean, there's got to be a reason why Isabel wanted Queen Consolidated so badly.
I think, I don't know. You would think that would be strange, being associated with the company that destroyed half the Glades.
Exactly. There's got to be something there.
Maybe it is Moira that she's there for. She's there to kind of engage with Moira and confront her and everything else about that past relationship.
Yeah, there just got to be something in their history. There has to be a history there. There's got to be a motivation.
I mean, otherwise you can't see why she wanted it.
No, it wouldn't really make much sense that she would want that specific company that badly.
I mean, you think, well, why would you want a company that's clearly no one agrees with or likes because it destroyed half the Glades?
Exactly, it killed a lot of people, and it's not got the best reputation. Why do you want it so badly?
Yeah, you're not going to get very much successful business out of
No,
it.
no one's going to want to associate with you.
No.
And they're going to assume that you wanted to be a part of it.
Yeah. It's a very strange sort of idea. I
have a feeling now that Moira's back, we're going to find out what it was.
I mean, obviously, we know that Moira was kind of helping Malcolm with the earthquake device.
Yeah.
So, it'll be interesting to see if Isabel kind of holds her grudge.
Yeah.
Over that.
Yeah.
I think that would be a bit strange, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not quite sure what went on between them. Maybe like...
I'm sure we're going to find out.
Ooh, here's a thought. Maybe she was one of Robert's friends. I say
Possibly.
friend in a very loose way.
Yes.
Maybe she won't be very happy about that, because Robert doing those activities,
yes,
to put it that way,
yes,
is basically what led to her and Malcolm, and therefore Thea.
Yes.
So that could be one of the possibilities.
Yep. Very possible.
You never know. There are kind of endless ways. But obviously, this whole history between them has made Moira not very happy that Oliver has befriended her.
No, she's not happy about this at all.
I think Moira was usually very supportive of Oliver.
Yeah.
And this was very strange to see her.
Yeah.
Being against.
That's what makes me think there's got to be more to it than just a woman that wanted to buy a company.
There is obviously, there must be something between them.
Yeah.
Because yeah, it's not what it is yet. You know what it is?
We don't know, but we're going to find out, hopefully.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I think it's gonna... I think Oliver probably doesn't know either.
No.
And that's gonna bug him.
Yeah.
Because obviously Moira's not gonna be very happy about Oliver being friends with her, so every time Oliver does speak to Isabel, that's gonna...
It's going to grind on Moira more and more each time.
Yeah.
As Isabel and Oliver become closer, it's going to grate on Moira more.
I'm looking...
Because it's possible that Isabel will spill the beans. And possibly it might not be something that Moira wants Oliver knowing.
No. I mean, she obviously doesn't want Oliver knowing about Thea.
No.
And originally about how her and Malcolm were together. But what would be interesting is if Moira found out about Oliver and Isabel.
Yes.
I don't think she would approve.
No.
That would be quite fun.
Yes.
I think that would definitely, more, especially the word I'm trying to think of, if it was the whole Robert and Isabel concept.
Yeah.
That would probably make it worse. That Oliver's dad was with Isabel
and annoyed Moira. And now it's Oliver with her. And it's sort of like, obviously Oliver doesn't know about it, but it's just no male in that family learning.
No.
So yeah. I don't know. I really don't know.
There's a lot of different things that could be going on there.
Yeah, there always is.
Yep. This show.
But this is talking about Moira still. One thing me and Corey came up with a couple of weeks ago when we were previewing Slate vs. Queen.
Yeah.
We thought if Moira did get out, what kind of a life would she have on the outside?
Yeah.
Where, okay, she's been acquitted by the jury, but
not by the people.
Yeah, do Starling City forgive her?
No.
Clearly, from the absence of anyone more than 10 people, clearly suggests that they haven't.
Not yet, no.
So, Oliver's idea of a party went so well, didn't it?
Oh yeah, it was best party of the year.
Yeah, you got a few people, a murderous criminal who managed to get away with it.
Yeah.
A person who can't dance and looks like he's about 10 years old.
Yep.
It's definitely an interesting party dynamic.
Yeah.
But like I was saying, Moira is... Okay, she's been she's been proven not guilty.
Yep.
Albeit by Malcolm Merlin's hand.
Yep.
You gotta remember that.
Yep.
Malcolm Merlin was the one that got her out of prison.
Yep.
Away from the death penalty or whatever.
Yep.
But Starling City haven't forgiven her.
No.
So,
which is quite understandable, considering a lot of people died.
Yeah, 503 people. I mean, this is what we're talking about.
She did still have a part of it.
She did. And actually what came out in the trial meant that you could see she had more of a part of it than people would think. She was more sort of involved, not so much involved. We knew how much she was involved, but how much Malcolm Merlin controlled her.
Yeah, it wasn't what she wanted. She did it because she had to.
Yeah. But I think what came out made it much harder for people to forgive her. To make them think, oh yeah, she was being forced by Malcolm Merlin. Okay, we're not happy about it, but we can forgive her because actually she was in a bad situation, and she did try and save us, and that kind of thing. But obviously that isn't the case. So I mean,
what it's like when Moira is out and about. I mean, obviously we saw back in episode 2, Oliver,
when Sebastian Blood was having a go at him.
Yeah.
how badly he was treated, trying to
Mhm.
leave, protesters shouting things at him, throwing stuff through his limo window.
And he's just the son, so
Yeah.
it's gonna be worse for her.
Yeah, he wasn't involved at all. He wasn't happy about it.
No.
he had no involvement except for that his mum was involved. She was a co-conspirator.
Yeah.
So Moira, who's technically behind it somehow on
Yep.
some levels, no one's gonna like her. No one's gonna allow her to walk around free without people reminding her of what she did.
Exactly.
Looking forward to seeing her out of the office.
Yep.
Maybe she won't go out of
The office and in the house, just like a secret tunnel, so that she never goes outside, so she avoids all of this abuse.
Yeah. It would be very interesting to see how she did handle it if she was out on the street.
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to that, because Sebastian Blood leading the crusade against Moira Queen.
Yeah.
And then the irony is that he's a criminal.
Yes.
Because no one knows about it. So, yeah, there's a lot of potential storyline there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to go on and talk about some little odds and ends about this episode. First of all, there's no Corey here, so I told him to restrain me from talking about this, but I'm still going to talk about it anyway. The music.
Yep.
When Barry came into it.
Yes.
That was pretty cool.
It was, yeah. I enjoyed that.
Soundtrack time, I think.
Yep.
What? Obviously, you know how much I like the music if you've been listening.
Yep.
But one thing I did sort of notice about it is it sounded very much like a bird.
Yeah.
And I'm not quite sure what to read into that.
It was very different to all the other cues that we get throughout the show. It felt a lot lighter.
Yeah. I mean, if you listen to some of the other songs, the soundtrack, it's sort of dramatic and tense and all that. And then he came into it and it's all sort of calm, nice.
It's all calm and light and fluffy.
Yeah.
As it were.
Yeah. I'm not sure whether that's just kind of an indication as to his character. That he sort of, without the whole Flash powers, he's kind of a weakling.
I wouldn't say weak as such, but he's a very different character to Oliver.
Yeah.
I think they made the music so different to point out how different the two characters are.
I like it when they do that they kind of use the music to kind of tell the story.
Yeah, it really boosts a scene to have the right music playing.
I mean, if you ever tried to watch a TV show without the background music, it's not fun.
No, couldn't do it.
The only thing that gets away with that is comedies.
Yeah.
Can't do it in drama shows. You need that.
It sets the scene perfectly to have the right cue playing.
It does. Yeah, so I rather enjoyed that. I'm waiting for the season 2 soundtrack, and that can be on it.
Yeah, that would be nice.
And we can listen to that endlessly.
Yes.
I'm just going to look through my notes. Hang on a second. We sort of talked about this earlier, but Oliver's being jealous.
Yeah.
It's quite ironic considering how jealous Felicity got 2 episodes ago.
Yeah. Now he knows how it feels.
Yeah. And obviously we saw at the end of that episode 6,
what Oliver could feel. Felicity.
Yeah.
So this sort of became an indication of Oliver is jealous.
Yeah.
So maybe that is an indication of what his feelings are towards her.
Yeah.
So potentially you could get that kind of Felicity and Oliver relationship. It's kind of setting it up so it could happen.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, like I said earlier, I'm not one for relationships, especially not in action shows like Arrow. But
No.
a lot of people are into that, and I think they'll be happy to have seen Oliver getting so jealous.
I think there are quite a few fans like that. They're trying to ship Oliver and Felicity.
Yep.
Quite fun.
Not my thing,
No.
but each to their own.
Yeah. Um. What else was there? Oh yeah, we sort of learned about Felicity getting paid by Oliver,
Yeah.
saying about how when Barry was like paid to work for a billionaire, and she just kind of says, "Well, I don't actually get paid that much,"
Yeah.
um, which was kind of, it wasn't so much a big thing about it, but it was just interesting to see that really.
Yeah, it
Sort
was
of.
a little dig at him for that. I mean, he is a billionaire.
Yeah, and she does work 2 jobs for him.
Exactly, yeah.
It's like, well, come on, pay me a little bit more.
Yeah, she lives a secret life for him. He can give her a bit of pay rise.
That'd be nice. Um, I think we didn't talk about this. Obviously you got the whole Flash thing, and somehow
It comes into it. I don't know how. I'm not very knowledgeable on that side of things, the comic book side of things. But they said on the news
that it would be turned on the next day.
Hmm.
So I would assume that we're going to see that next week.
Well, yes.
I'm just trying to. I'm not really sure what a particle accelerator does and how it comes into the Flash storyline and that kind of thing.
Well, technically, it doesn't.
No.
As in the comic books, it's a storm. It's a bolt of lightning. Yeah. But Felicity did set it up when she said that when they turned on the Large Hadron Collider, which is pretty much the same thing, it's a particle accelerator, it caused earthquakes. So potentially, the switching on of the particle accelerator is going to cause an earthquake, which causes the accident that gives Barry the powers.
Oh, that's an interesting theory, actually. I'd say I never thought of that before, but I didn't know much about it, so I couldn't have thought of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is an interesting thought. When you said that it can cause the earthquakes and whatever, I just thought, oh, we're going back to season 1 again.
Yeah, it seemed like a throwaway line, but there's something there.
Yeah, that is interesting, actually.
Yes.
But yeah, obviously, we've had the hints all season, haven't we?
Yeah.
About the particle accelerator being turned on, and it's dangerous, people are protesting against it.
It is, particle accelerators are very dangerous if you know what they do. If they take 2 particles, they fire them at each other in opposite directions so that they hit each other, and potentially they can open up black holes.
Well, I don't think there's much danger of a Doctor Who crossover, so I think we can rule out the black hole theory.
Yeah, that's the level of dangerous that particle accelerators are. They can wipe out the entire universe.
When they said particle accelerator, I just thought of particles getting faster.
That's what they do. They just speed them up and fire them at each other.
Yeah, so I didn't quite get to the firing at each other bit. I just got to the bit of faster.
Yeah, it's all about splitting atoms, basically.
This sounds highly dangerous.
Yes.
Maybe they shouldn't turn it on.
Maybe they shouldn't. Maybe they should. We might not get a spin-off show if they don't.
It's true. It's a tricky one. Risk destroying the universe for a spin-off show.
Ooh.
I think the Arrow executive producers are kind of taking it a bit too far.
You can find shows from elsewhere. I'm sure you can without endangering the universe. I'm sure of it.
Yeah. We shall see what happens next week. If we all survive, then it's okay.
Yeah, well, let's hope so.
Yes.
Because if we all die, then there's no Arrow to watch.
Yeah.
And that would be
depressing.
depressing.
And there'll definitely be no spin-off because there'll be no one to make it.
No. That would not be good. Obviously with the...
dynamic, you had Baron being unable to dance.
Yep.
I just sort of noted that down. I'm not really sure there's much into that. But I thought it was quite funny.
It is very funny considering that Grant Gustin is a professional dancer.
Is he?
That line had to have been added in just because of that reason.
I did not know that.
Yes, he is a trained professional dancer.
Yes. Definitely planted in there. Then.
Yep.
Okay, I'm just looking through my notes. I don't think there was much else. Really? About it?
There is the centrifuge was made by Cold Enterprises.
Oh yes, I did see that on my Twitter, but I didn't kind of pick up on it at all, really.
Yep, Ted Cold is the Blue Beetle.
I don't know who that is.
He's another superhero from the DC universe.
So potentially
he too is a scientist, and canonically he did make things like that. So seeing his name on one of these things in this show is quite big for those of us that know who Blue Beetle is.
They've been dropping all these comic references all season. I've been kind of lost.
Yeah, there have been a lot. Even the news channel being 52 is a nod to it.
Bethel
being the reporter.
Yeah. Bethany Snow shows up at the end of some of the comic books.
Yeah. I do know some things, but that's mainly due to Google.
Yeah.
So, I'm getting there.
It is very nice that they've thrown in all of these little Easter eggs for the fans of the comic books. Like, I don't know if you saw my little interaction with Andrew Kreisberg a few days ago on the 31st of November. It was the 72nd birthday of Oliver Queen appearing in comic books.
Yeah.
And right back at the very beginning of Arrow, 1141 was the 1141 was the account number that Oliver gave to Adam Hunt. That was a reference to Oliver Queen's first appearance in comic books.
Wow, it's a good job you're picking up on these, because I'm lost completely with that. I got no idea.
Yep.
Because Oliver's birthday in the show, I worked it out to be May 16th.
No, the first appearance of Green Arrow was November 1941.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but
yeah,
it would have been I think it might have been cooler if they'd actually made it that.
Yeah.
If they'd actually made his birthday to be November 1941. Might have worked out a little bit better.
Maybe. It was just a little throwaway thing there for the DC fans.
Yeah, I mean, I think they've definitely included a lot more this season.
Yeah.
I mean, last season they had a few.
Yeah.
But this season they've just gone all out.
Yeah.
It's sort of not bringing everyone into it, but they're hinting and bringing little bits into it, like Barry Allen or the League of Assassins.
Yeah, definitely referencing a lot of things.
They're definitely trying to connect it from last season. You had a vigilante show, kind of that was we know it's come from the DC comics, but sort of barely related to them in the show.
Yeah.
And this season it's just gone all out, and everything is DC, basically.
Yeah, everything. Yeah.
If you come into this with no knowledge of the DC at all and no Google, you're in a bit of trouble.
You are. It's still an entertaining show to watch if you don't have that background knowledge, but it's really exciting for someone that does have it.
I think you don't have to have that knowledge, like I don't.
No, you don't. No.
Corey doesn't either. But no, not even knowing it. Obviously, you can enjoy it, but knowing it even to a little bit makes you understand it a little bit more.
Yeah.
And that obviously, if you understand it, it makes it better.
Yeah.
But I mean, the more they include, the harder it is to understand it without kind of knowing a little bit. Even if you don't kind of read the comics or know everything about them, or most things about them, or the characters, or the little things in the comics, as long as you know little bits enough what they reference and how they affect everything, you can enjoy the show.
Yeah.
So yeah, I surprisingly I've enjoyed all the references. It's been
Do you
good.
find that has it got you more interested in maybe reading comic books?
Potentially, but
See,
yeah.
I class that as a win then.
Depends if I get enough time. I'm struggling enough for time as it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely that kind of bring it in, presenting the comic books, because you think comic books, okay, they're interesting, but you've got to be specific to liking comic books to do that, to read them. Whereas a TV show, anyone can get interested in a TV show.
Yeah. Anyone can get into this show in particular. If it gets people interested in picking up a comic book and having a go, then brilliant.
Yeah.
The more the merrier.
Yeah. And even if it's not kind of reading the comic book, it's kind of knowing more about it as well.
Yeah. I mean, you read one comic book and then you think, oh, so what happens next? You read another one, then you get introduced to a new character. They could have their own series. You go and read about them.
Yeah.
And suddenly you've got a whole new world opened up to you.
Kind of like a TV show.
Yeah.
They kind of, the TV shows related to comic books like it's a TV show and related it in that way.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting.
Yep.
Yeah. A lot of fun.
Yes.
So I think that's all I came up with for this episode, that things I noticed. I don't know if you noticed anything other than what we talked about.
No, I've put in everything I noticed.
Okay. So we're going to talk a little bit about next week. I'm slacking a little bit. I haven't even got the press release open. Dear me. I'm struggling a little bit here. Right. Obviously next week is talk called Three Ghosts.
Yep.
And we talked about it kind of a little bit earlier, so we can get this done as quickly as possible. But obviously the title suggests Scrooge.
Yes.
And it is a mid-season finale, and it's very close to Christmas.
Yep. Very well planned.
So yeah, let me just read the press release.
Oliver is visited by ghosts from the past. After a fight with Cyrus Gold, aka the Acolyte, which we've obviously seen in this one, Oliver is drugged and left for dead.
Yep.
Determined to cure him, Felicity makes a risky decision. So we've seen to this point already.
Yep.
And we know what the risky decision is and
this
kind of thing. The cure causes Oliver to hallucinate, and what he sees forces him to confront his past. So you'd think that Slade and Shadow are going to appear in the present day as hallucinations.
Yeah.
You can hope that Slade will appear in the present day as the real thing.
Yeah.
Would be quite nice.
Yes.
But it's unlikely. Continue on. Meanwhile, Barry continues to help Felicity and their connection grows stronger.
Yep.
The Arrow asks Lance to look into Gold, but when the stakeout on Gold goes bad, someone is killed. I'll come to that in a second, actually. Roy is captured and tortured by Brother Blood.
Yes.
So, on that Lance thing, in the promo, it seems like Lance is in a hospital bed.
Yes.
And talking to the Arrow, and saying about how if he's human, then the Arrow can kill him.
Yeah.
So obviously it's not going to... You would think that it's not going to be Lance that dies.
You would hope not.
You would think that they wouldn't say that Roy's going to get tortured and it would be him that dies.
Again, you would hope that it's not Roy.
No. You're just kind of trying to figure out who it is that's going to die.
It is. There's a number of people it could be.
I mean, obviously they've kind of got so far they've managed to gain a reputation among the fans of the show that does massive things.
Yeah.
You know, they killed off the secondary character in their first season.
Yeah.
If you didn't pick up on the Sarah thing, they've killed off their secondary character on the island.
Yep.
You know, it's all these big things, and so you never know who could die really.
It literally could be anybody. They're not afraid to kill off big characters.
No, you definitely seen that. So I think the only person you can rule out is Oliver
Well,
and
yeah.
Barry.
Yeah.
Because obviously there would be no TV show without him.
Well, not really, no.
It'd be pretty tricky.
Yeah.
But yeah, as I've said earlier, I have been told by multiple sources that have seen the episode already. This is massive.
Yeah. As you would expect from a mid-season finale.
There are some spoilers, and I don't know what they are. Obviously, they're spoilers. There are some things that happen that are season finale level.
Yeah.
When you can do that in your second season as a mid-season finale, then you know you've got a good show.
Yeah.
What would be even more impressive was if they would do this in a normal episode.
Yeah.
Is when it becomes massive, incredibly impressive.
They've set the standard pretty high already, so we shall see.
This whole season's just been getting progressively better.
Yeah.
Stemming back to Darkness on the Edge of Town, it's just got from being a good show, the fans are quite interested in it, you potentially get a few more fans, but it's not something spectacular. And then from Darkness on the Edge of Town to now, it's just become fantastic.
Yeah. Each episode so far this season has got bigger and better. And next week's going to melt our faces.
Yeah, we're going to have so much to talk about next week.
Yeah.
Yes, so... Yes, I'm rather looking forward to that one.
And then we're without Arrow for a month. That's always the depressing thing about the mid-season finale. You get a massive episode, but then you're without it for a month.
Yeah.
Oh well.
And then you have to somehow deal with the fact that it's not there, and it's not going to be easy to not have it on. Even this 1 week break that we had wasn't easy to get over.
No, especially with the whole Malcolm Merlin ending it.
Yeah, and we're going to be left on a massive cliffhanger.
Yeah.
So all that we're going to do for the month that follows is speculate.
Give me some time to perfect my theories.
Yes.
I don't know what any of them are yet, but I'm sure I'll figure some out. So I think we've exhausted everything.
Yep.
So I hope you've all enjoyed listening to this podcast, and we'll see you next week.